What's up, people? Nature Girl 30 here, and honestly, guys, I'm gonna go right into it. This is my review of Survivor Series. For those that have not seen Survivor Series yet, spoiler alert, or just don't watch this video because I just saw it. Yes, it's Monday, but unfortunately, I had a rainstorm, so it kind of messed up my feed. So I just watched it. I just finished it. Here are my thoughts. I will say this. The first time ever, the biggest question that was asked, the question that is bigger than Doctor Who's question, was finally asked at Survivor Series by Triple H to zero response, let alone anybody continuing talking about it. And it was nice actually seeing Vince McMahon come out for the opener. And it's always nice to see Vince. We haven't seen Vince in a while since the last Raw that he was on. But honestly, guys, even though you had that confrontation somewhat in the ring between Stephanie and Triple H and John Cena, I like that. I like the whole, the battle back and forth. I like just the fact that the battle of words and everything that the Authority was saying was everything that everybody's been thinking, but nobody has asked. And I'm like, finally, Triple H is actually asking that question. But the funny thing is how somehow Vince kind of put it on his ear yet again, saying that, well, you know, you're going to have desk jobs and whatever, but you're just not going to be in control of the WWE at all. In other words, you're going to be behind the scenes, guys. You'll still be getting a paycheck, but you're just not going to be anywhere involved with the shows. And it's like, you know, in the back of my mind, it's like, you still have nothing to lose. You're still going to get a job. Everybody else in your team's going to still have their job. They still have nothing to lose. But nobody has ever questioned John Cena at all. Even when Michael Cole tried, he danced around the entire question. He never really fully answered it. Not at all. And which leads to me one of the most pointless heel turns I've ever seen in my entire life. But I will get into that towards the end of the show. We, of course, have only 3 matches on the card, but they had to add a few random matches in there just to kind of make the card a little bit more even. So instead of the 3 matches that are posted, we end up having 5. Now, one of the 5 was one of the most pointless matches that I could even talk about, let alone care. Actually, we probably had about 6. We had 3 add-ons to the 3 matches that we had prior. So one of the matches that I consider completely pointless was pretty much Adam Rose and the Bunny versus the 2 forgettable ones. Honestly, they are. I'm sorry. I really don't care much for Heath Ledger anymore. I think Heath Ledger would be a great guy on his own, but he just can't come up with a gimmick that works. As for the barking dude, yeah, I know he's an I know he's an Omega, so yeah, that's why he goes the But it's just to the point where half the time I remember his name, half the time I don't. So I'm just gonna call him the or just the barking guy. Pretty much. But either or, and that's sad. I really should remember his name, but I don't at the moment, and I'm not going to bother looking it up because that shows how completely forgettable your character is becoming, no matter how many quips you try to throw out there. And even behind the scenes was probably one of the most pointless, really pointless backstage moments between those two. The fact is that he was trying to have all these quick quips to try to get him noticed, and as well as being seriously, he was trying to get under Adam Rose's skin, but everyone ignored him and went straight to Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger, my bad. Heath Slater. He is not Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger is awesome. God rest his soul. But anyway, he went straight to Heath Slater. But Heath Slater, people started listening to more what Heath Slater was saying than what the barking guy was saying. Seriously. And that's kind of sad. He's kind of overran. Like, people really don't care what he has to say. And it showed even in the backstage segments. One of the most pointless segments I've ever seen in my life. And they made one of the pointless matches I've ever seen in my life. The fact is, the Bunny is getting more over than Adam Rose. And the fact is that Heath Slater got pinned by the Bunny, which is more humiliating for him. Either or, that match was just stupid. And I wish it wasn't there at all. Then we had the tag team match. I think a 6-man tag team match with Los Matadores. Then we had, of course, the champions, Golden Stardust, my favorites. Then we had Miz and Mizdow. And then we had the Usos. And we probably had another tag team in there, but I can't remember. But either or, we had the ones that I actually do remember. It was a great match. It really, really was. Like, I'm not going to deny that it was a really great match. These guys put on an excellent show. But, and I didn't necessarily mind the Mizdow actually taking the pin. Mizdow is more over than Miz, which is sad. The Miz has been fighting to actually be over on his own since his debut, and it still can't work for him. He has to have somebody on his arm. He's worse than a valet. Actually, he's becoming a valet, if you honestly can imagine that in reverse. Mizdow is getting more over with the crowd than the Miz. That's kind of sad. And the Miz actually headlined WrestleMania, but it's to the point where that's nearly forgotten. That's kind of messed up. He was well noticed when he was with, when he was tag teamed up, when he was up with John Morrison way back when. And then after that, when he broke out on his own, people started to notice him. But then he ended up being noticed more when you had Alex Riley there. Then after Alex Riley left, you end up having Mizdow like a little ways down the line. But either or, he can't seem to get over by himself, which is sad. But either or, I don't mind them being tag team champions. I don't mind this at all. Not to mention, this is actually Damien Sandow's first belt. Yes, he's Mizdow, but either or, it's, let's just say what he is. He's actually Damien Sandow, but he's playing Mizdow. Either or, we know this is his first title, y'all. His first title ever. So honestly, I'm just going to literally leave it alone. And I don't mind them actually taking the titles from Golden Stardust. I don't mind it at all. As long as it's not the freaking Usos, I'm fine with that. Seriously, I'm cool. And it's not because I hate the Usos. It's just the fact that the Usos made the title change so doggone boring. But either or, I'm happy that Damien Sandow as well as The Miz won. So let's move on from there to the next match. Now we end up having the Divas Battle Royal. I can't even remember who won. I don't even know whether or not they're going to have a shot at the Divas title. I just think they were randomly out there just to get 15 minutes of fame. But I will say this. It was all the one best highlight of the match for me was when Paige and Emma finally went at it. It was great. Everybody in the entire crowd freaking knew about the feud that they had at NXT, which was pretty much epic. It was one of the most epic feuds I've ever watched. I was kind of hoping that Charlotte was out there a little bit. I'm kind of hoping that Charlotte made her debut, but she's the champ, so she really can't leave. As far as I know, I haven't really watched NXT in a while, so I have no idea who the champion is. But either or, it was great seeing Summer Rae. It was great seeing my heels out there. I still don't like Alicia Fox, but it was boring starting out, but it got more interesting towards the end. The feuds that you really wanted to see was really got everybody hyped up. Everybody wanted to see Naomi and Cameron scrap. Not fight, scrap. I'm talking about taking off the earrings, talking about putting Vaseline on the knuckles. I'm talking about just beat down street style. That's what people wanted. And we didn't get all that. But honestly, Cameron really tries, and she's doing her best to do well. She's still really sloppy in the ring, and she needs a lot of work. I think that no matter how much practice she gets, she freaks out when she starts to perform on her own. And it kind of showed that it was probably nerves that kind of got her to be off a bit. But either or, she's trying. You got to give her a high five for that. Just like I give high fives for Eva Marie, because she's trying as well, and they're both improving. So at least they're trying and not giving up. I didn't necessarily want to see Natalya out there, but I will say this. Natalya is far more interesting in the ring than she is on Total Divas. But that's besides that point. All I have to say about that is I don't mind the faces winning, because I just like Naomi. I like seeing Naomi fight, because that chick can scrap. Seriously, she can scrap. And I'd like to see her become Divas Champion one day. But I will say this. Paige and Emma, highlight of that match. Enough said. Bring more NXT chicks to Raw, please, and let them say their character and let them fight it out. That's all I have to say. Best feud ever. Moving on to the next one. Now, we ended up having, let me see. From those two random matches, I'm going to go down to the Divas match. Now, before I talk about Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt, let's talk about the Divas title match. One of the most underwhelming matches ever. But probably the best for some of the guys that like the kiss between Brie and AJ. You know, the kiss of death. That's what it's supposed to be with. And it's kind of funny how she gave the kiss of death when she kind of gave the kiss of death to Daniel Bryan. Brie gave the kiss of death to AJ Lee, which I kind of see that, and I thought that was cute. But it was a very, very quick ending. And Nikki won, and I don't mind it. Nikki is finally the champ. Way to go. Yay. I I love me some Nikki Bella. I love me the Bella twins, and I'm happy that Nikki won. She is the better champion. She's the most interesting heel champion out there. So I really do believe that the Divas title is definitely going to be, that's the Divas championship holder is going to be a lot more interesting now. So I'm kind of looking forward to see what's going to happen on Raw. But moving on from there, let's talk about Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt. Was supposed to be one of the biggest slobber knockers in Survivor Series history. It kind of fell short, but I will say this. I got to admire Bray Wyatt for playing that psychology throughout the entire match. Even though Dean Ambrose had the upper hand throughout the entire time, Dean Ambrose had the upper hand, but Bray Wyatt all of a sudden just took out the mic, was like, "Nah, man, we're not like that, man. We're better than that, man." Like, he was just trying. He was like, literally looked like he was crying. I have to love the chemistry of that match. And the fact that he buried him in chairs and brought out a ladder and tables shows that, yes, it's going to be a match between those two at tables, ladders, and chairs at TLC. We get it. But I thought it was cute. I thought hitting Bray Wyatt on the mic pleading with Dean Ambrose. Because in the end, if you hit Dean Ambrose and cheat, I mean, if you hit Bray Wyatt and somehow get yourself disqualified, he wins. Even though you win technically, well, either or. If you get disqualified, he wins mentally as well as legally in the match. If you somehow don't and walk away, he still wins mentally. Either or, Bray Wyatt wins all the way. And I'm kind of happy that this match did not go over cleanly. I'm really happy that it didn't, because I would love to see this continue. I'm hoping that somehow they will allow this to continue on up to WrestleMania, because this could be an epic match, especially if you add Seth Rollins in the mix. That would be great. Steel cage, WrestleMania, Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins versus Bray Wyatt. I'm calling it. Book it, please. But anyway, let's move on. I will say this. I never expected to have more. Like, I felt like I was actually sitting in the stands at WrestleMania 27 watching the streak match. I will say that. I never imagined in my life that I would ever feel the way that I felt that day. I don't think I've ever had a feeling of anxiety more than watching that Survivor Series match. Because not only was I waiting on the Cena heel turn that I thought that was going to happen, I was also wondering what was going to happen at the very end. Now, there were so many rumors about Sting making his appearance. I thought it was going to be later. I was really hoping it was going to be at the Rumble. But honestly, that was the most underwhelming debut I have ever seen in my life. And I'm not a fan of Sting. Not anymore. And I really could care less for Sting to actually make his debut. Who freaking cares? Sting actually, you already know my personal thoughts about Sting, and I'm not going to rant about it anymore because there's no point. But it was the most underwhelming debut I've ever seen in my life. And it really did take away what could have been a huge triumph for Dolph Ziggler. Now, everybody was waiting on I know I was waiting on the Cena heel turn. Nobody believed that Cena was going to go heel. I was hoping for it because everything was kind of geared towards Cena turning heel. Because Cena, number one, had nothing to lose in Survivor Series. Number two, he had everything to gain from actually having the ability to bring the Authority back. And number three, Cena stayed squeaky clean throughout the entire flipping match and only got hit once. Cena had everything to gain from this. Nothing to lose. Nothing. I ignored the commentary the entire time because the commentary, like always, was complete garbage. So I kind of ignored them the whole time. But I will say this. Cena kept his hands squeaky clean throughout the entire match, like he did for this entire feud. Everybody was pretty much doing his job for him throughout this entire feud. Even the guys that was fighting for him was actually doing more work than he ever did. He kept his entire hands clean throughout the whole thing, which bothers me to no end. But either or, this could have been a huge triumph for Ziggler because Ziggler was taking folk out right and left. Right and left, giving it his all, putting everything he could into it, pretty much running on fumes, knocking everybody down. And man, this could have been a triumph for him. And then you got Triple H doing the usual Triple H thing, and then you come out with the Stinger. Yeah. You bring out the Stinger, and the Stinger end up doing the same thing The Rock did at WrestleMania 27. Interfere in a match. He ended up being the guy that literally was the game changer of this entire pay-per-view. Yeah, way to go to take it away from Ziggler. But did he take it fully away? No. Ziggler actually put on a way better match than all of his counterparts. And not to mention that, well, let's just say that Mark Henry now is a lion with no teeth. He's a toothless lion. All he can do is gum you to death. And it pretty much shows right here and now when the Big Show pretty much took his big giant hoof of a hand and knocked him out one time. And that was it. So what does it say about Mark Henry? He's just a toothless lion. No matter what he says, this is what I do, and the House of Pain means nothing now. Nothing. He has no merit behind his words whatsoever. None. Zero. Zippo. And I'm hoping that somehow he becomes another dominant force in WWE somehow, but I'm doubting that. I really am. And it's sad, to be honest with you. But besides all that, I will say that towards the beginning, started off a bit slow. The ending really did pick up. Pretty much gave me, it felt like I was about to have a stroke, waiting for the ending to actually happen. And then everything came to be. And then the ending happened. Stephanie really did put a nice heel touch on it, kind of going nuts. But her holding her stomach the whole time, I was like, good grief, I hope you weren't pregnant when you did that. I really hope. But either or, she really did put a nice touch when she kind of threw a tantrum in the ring. But honestly, there's probably a reason why they're not in Power anymore. Because if Stephanie is pregnant, she's probably going to take out for herself. And I'm hoping that everything went well. But regardless of all that, my overall thoughts of Survivor Series is this. I was highly impressed. I thought this was going to be a crapshoot, but honestly, it wasn't. It really was quite entertaining. Besides the whole bunny thing that I kind of ignored, I will say that the original card itself was fairly good. And even though the Divas match did end quickly, I will say it did have a nice touch of nostalgia with the whole Kiss of Death thing. I liked it. I really did. And the fact that John Cena got put out at the end of the match by the Big Show, and like I said, it really pretty much made one of the most pointless heel turns I've ever seen in my life. Because in the end, you won. So it kind of made your heel turn seem stupid. Kind of, technically. Yeah. And the fact that it was the Big Show that did the heel turn was a cheap way to get out of it. It really was. But either or, it doesn't really affect my overall thoughts of Survivor Series. I thought it was great. And I am looking forward to Raw. But I want to hear y'all's thoughts about Survivor Series. Leave a comment in the comment section below and send me a video response on how you personally feel about Survivor Series, how you thought it should have went, whether you agree with the whole ending, how you like the matches. I want to know your thoughts. It's Nature Girl 30 signing off. Peace out. Later.